Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Franchise Forward podcast. You know what? We love bringing in guests who are experts in the franchise industry. But today we have someone who is not just a successful businessman, but also someone who plays a key role in shaping communities. And he is the definition of community builder. I am talking about Dinesh Sharma, a leader, entrepreneur, and someone who has spent 35 years helping businesses scale, strategize, and most importantly, build people-first organization. He is the co-chair of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, the founder of BMG Group, and the mind behind empowering communities in Canada. So thank you, Dinesh. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So Dinesh, one of the key reasons that we wanted to have you was you are a corporate leader, and at the same time you are a community builder. You've had an incredible journey from working with startups to global companies, opening businesses, and now of course leading organizations with a people first approach. If I had to ask you, what's been the most defining moment of your career, what would that be?
You asked me a very, very interesting question. I will say the defining moment of my life was the year 2008 to year 2010. And I'm sure you know this, the world was going through an economic recession during that period.
Yes.
Three things happened with me in that year, in those two and a half years. One, I was working for a medium-sized company as an HR manager.
Okay.
And one day we are called to the corporate office or the boardroom and said, the company is bankrupt. All of you have lost the job. Go home. You don't have a job now. And even the company didn't have enough money to pay us our paychecks for the last 4 weeks time that we worked. 200 people lost their livelihoods in a fraction of second.
My God, yeah.
That was one. The second one was that I was lucky. I was able to, because of my community building or relationship building, I was able to get back on my feet within a couple of weeks time in another global organization. But because there was this economic recession that was happening, the facility where I was working, the company decided to close down that operation, consolidate their operation and close down that facility where I was working. I had just started there 3 months back, and they said to me that they are closing down that facility. The most emotional part for me was the people that were working in that facility had worked there for 35 to 40 years. This was their first and the last job that they had it in Canada.
Oh.
They said, we haven't learned anything else there too. 40 years we've been working. Where will we go?
Correct.
Where will we go? So, but as a corporate leader, corporate HR manager, I had to do that. But then the other thing which was waiting for me was, after I closed down that facility, I myself was out of a job for 1 year time. I ran entire Ontario looking for a job for myself. There was a time when I was hoping that I would have 5 job offer and I would be making that pick and choose which one I want to take. One after the another, everything failed, dropped, overqualified, underqualified, not having enough experience, so on and so forth. So those 3 experiences between 2008 to 2010 really defined me, what I'm trying to become, or what the destiny has put the path for me to travel.
Yeah, that's quite a journey. And you've worked at both strategic level, as you said, and at the grassroots level.
Yes.
How did that shape your perspective on leadership, if I have to ask you?
You know, this is every organization has to keep people first approach, because successful organization keeps people over profits. And here's an analogy that all motivational speaker, leadership consultants or whatever, they say this: if you take care of your people will take care of your business.
Absolutely.
And I will give you this example. So I was given the opportunity to build the HR department of an organization. They didn't have it grassroots. So I was putting policies, procedures and everything together for that medium-sized organization, which was my first job in Canada. Mm-hmm. Okay. A new VP of operation comes in. He's the boss. He's an boss. Okay, he's the VP of operation. He goes on to a shop floor and one of the employee wasn't feeling too well. So he looks at that employee and says, "You don't seem to be feeling too well." Nice guy, VP of operation.
Yeah.
And he says, "Why don't you go home?" Okay, because you're not feeling well, take half day off. And the employee tells this VP the employee doesn't know who this gentleman is.
Absolutely. VP
of operation.
Yeah.
The employee tells that VP of operation, "If Dinesh tells me to go home, I will go home." and the VP of operation says, "I am the VP of operation of this organization." And that employee says, "For me, Dinesh is my first contact in the company. I know he looks after all of us. So if he says you're not feeling well, call him and I will explain my problem to him." So where I'm heading with this is, the VP of operation was a new guy. He said to me, "Buddy, you built great relationship with the people at the grassroots level, which is a key. Not too many leaders go to that grassroots level to meet and understand the people, their needs and all that. They all make these big policies and strategies sitting in glass doors, yes. Whereas the real change happen at the grassroots level."
Absolutely, so much so true, and I'm excited because this is turning out to be a learning experience for me, Dinesh, honestly. And I hear you saying a lot of these times when I visit you and when I meet you at maybe any of these networking events or any of the gala event at Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, you always say building communities is your passion. Where did that passion come from?
I was reflecting onto this. Where did this passion of community building came into? And I was trying to recollect myself. Where did it started? How did it started? Yeah. Sometime you then reflect back and you see really that. And I'll give you this pretty interesting story. I was a kid. We all were at one point of a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I was 10 or 11 years old. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I was in India. My mom gave me a pocket money that, okay, but you go and buy lunch for yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, I went to a shop to pick up a lunch for myself.
Sure.
As it happened that three of my, because we were living in a small neighborhood, so yeah. Everybody was connected with each other and all that stuff too. So three of my neighbors friends were there at the same shop also. Mm-hmm. As I picked up my lunch, I told all three of them "Hey, I already picked up that lunch. Why do you want to spend money? Let's have this lunch together."
And
so four of us ate that lunch that I bought it at that time. I'm saying I was 10-year-old, 11-year-old at that time.
Yeah.
Came home and my mom said, "So what did you buy for lunch?" And I said, "I bought this one." "So where is it?" I said, "I ate it there at the shop." And mom said, "I told you to bring it home so that we can have it together." I said, "No, there were other friends there. We ate it with them too." What I heard from my mom at that time was different. I can't explain it, but I think it all started at that time, and it all comes back to your how your parents have raised you also. Yes. My dad was a priest in a temple. My mom was a priest in a temple. I mean, my mom used to do, community events, a community religious event in her prime time and all that stuff too. So I think sometimes these things come automatically to you when you see your parents doing the same thing too. You may not realize it,
Correct.
but you seeing your parents doing it automatically gets ingrained in you too.
So true. And this is so exciting. So this is one side of yours which people don't know, and through this podcast, through my show, people will come to know about you more now. So that's exciting. So Dinesh, you are one of the most well-connected people in what we call the Desi community. You bring people together, not just for business, but for the real impact, as I always say. So tell me, what role do you think community plays in entrepreneurship and business success?
Community plays a very, very important role in entrepreneurship or in business success. Okay, PCC is a perfect example for that matter.
Sure.
Why? In PCC, what we have it, as I call it, as internal consumption model.
Nishant.
Let's take this back to India for a minute, from where we all come from.
Yes.
Okay. In spite of all the challenges that India has why is India growing? Because in India, anything that you produce, the population is so much that you would have an internal consumption itself there too.
Yes.
You open a pan bidi shop, you would have customer. You open a manufacturing facility, you would have a consumption there too. So from an entrepreneurship perspective, or taking back to the PCC perspective, how are you and me got connected? The only other thing I tell everybody, especially in DC community or in entrepreneurship, is two parts of this conversation. One is, before looking for what Nishant can do for me, you should always have an approach, what I can do for Nishant.
Absolutely. So true.
Okay, when you have that kind of a mindset, what I can do for the other individual, it becomes a win-win situation, because we all are professionals. And we understand that if I am doing for something for Nishant, whatever that may be, okay, we notice it. People notice it.
Absolutely.
And then we'll say, the other individual will then figure out, how can I repay it back? How can I make introduction? So rather than going into a theory, we all know this theory of that we learned it in our childhood, that a farmer got a hen, and they said the hen lays a golden egg every day, and the farmer decided, said, okay, I'm going to cut the hen today and get all the golden eggs out of her tummy.
That does not happen.
What did the farmer do? The farmer burnt the relationship. The farmer burnt the gold mine.
Correct.
So don't have a short-term approach, cookie-cutting approach. Think long-term.
Correct. And I can tell you, I'm one of the classic examples here for everyone out there. I got my first client when I started my business, and I came to Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. I drove down to that networking event you guys at one of the food stores, and I was I would say fortunate enough in my first two networking events at the PCC. I got my first client, and since then it's been no looking back. Of course, I always like to be part of all those events because I get to meet people. I made friends. I've come in contact with you, met Harry, and everyone's around in the PCC. So really grateful for that connections that we could make. All right. On that note, let me go to the next segment, where my next question comes to you and says, what are some of the common challenges, because you've been integral part of the Desi entrepreneur community. What are those common challenges Desi entrepreneurs face when starting a business here? according to you? And any piece of advice that you'd like to give?
I would say the one biggest challenge that most of the Desi entrepreneurs have it while starting up their business or while scaling up their business is lack of the cultural knowledge. What I mean by that is, so cultural knowledge in a bigger terms becomes soft skills.
Yes.
So 3 parts of that soft skills are: you should know your communication skills. Okay? How far do you have to go in communicating and when do you have to stop?
Yes.
Communication is very important part of it too, in the soft skills. The second part of it is always have a learning mindset. Nobody is perfect. The world is evolving every day.
Yep.
So always have a learning mindset to a point that if you're starting a business, make sure that you have at least one, if not more, individual who's an experienced business leader as your mentor. Absolutely. Mentors are very important in the life. I mean, I'll say this. The God has been very kind to me. I am decently, placed in the community, in the industry. But even then, I currently have 5 mentors.
Okay, good.
And I have a weekly call with one mentor every week. So technically, in a month, I get to talk to 5 mentors, share with them what I'm doing.
Yes.
Learn from their perspectives. And then the other important people, these 5 mentors, when they hear what you are doing, basically becomes your voice out in the community too. So you're not only seeking guidance from them too, they're technically becoming your voice.
Yes. Yeah.
In the community.
Yeah.
And the third and the very, very important part of it too, go to as many networking events. But people still feel networking is going to an event, exchanging business card, coming back home, and I'm done. You always have to take networking to a relationship building. It takes time. 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, understanding each other's perspective, learning. So our Desi entrepreneurs, and I'm being respectful when I say this to not everybody, but we all are looking for how quickly I can make money, how quickly I can make money.
Yeah.
That's so everything is a process. Everything is a process. So you have to follow the process.
Yeah. And this is turning out to be so much of a learning for everyone. I'm sure you said communication, networking, and most important, always have a mentor, always have someone that you can fall back upon.
Yeah. I recently got my mentor that used to be my mentor about 15 years back. I reached out to her and says, hey, she was at PCC Ghana also. So I reached out to her and I said, Leona, I need your guidance. She said to me, I thought you are doing reasonably well. I see you on social media everywhere and all that stuff too. I said, yes, I may be doing reasonably well, but now I'm moving into a different phase of my life.
Yeah.
So I want you to be my, listening ear or an advisor. But here's another interesting part which I started this year too. Mm-hmm. I used to think about this too, but never acted. But this year I actually started it. So on January 1st, I wrote 3 goals for myself. That these are the 3 things that I want to achieve it this year.
Okay.
But as we all know, we write goals. Yeah. And by end of January, they are somewhere there too.
Yeah.
I reached out to a professional friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I said, I want you to be my accountability partner.
Yes.
So accountability partner is as Now I have a bi-weekly call scheduled with her, and every 2 weeks time, she, like a true interviewer, she asks me,
What did you?
how far are you on that goal? And then if there is a goal that I'm kind of like struggling to move ahead, then we brainstorm there too. What is stopping me? What are the other alternatives I can use to pursue, keeping the big picture that these are the 3 goals that I will make sure that I achieve it. So having a mentor, having an accountability partner. Now this accountability partner, as much as I'm grateful to her, she tells me that, Dinesh, I'm so grateful to you that you gave me this opportunity, because now I'm learning myself also.
Yes.
But in the end, which I keep saying this, we built a community.
Yes.
We built a friendship. We built a community, which is key. Each other growth.
True. And as I said, so interesting. Another point that I would definitely like to highlight: accountability partner. Yeah, that's so much. Okay, so with this, let's move on to our next segment, where I want to talk more about the people first approach that you said. Let's talk about something a lot of entrepreneurs struggle: scaling.
Yeah.
You have also built up business, helped organizations, and even scaled this non-profit